What's up, Beamer?
I'm a little tanner, a little more rested, and maybe not quite as wise. It's yeah, I mean, things are going pretty well, dude. I can't complain. It's been a nice summer so far. It's been kind of a stress-free summer. Last month wasn't all that fun. I had to right size my inventory and take some losses, but this month is going to be a little more fun.
Really important thing is just like how's the golf game, man? Swinging the club
really good.
Yeah,
I am. Yeah, no, I'm hitting the ball as well as I've hit it in a couple 3 years.
Nice.
I won the horse race over there in Idaho. Me and Luke Winter from Pallet Services in St. Paul, Minnesota, who I've known him for about 15 years.
So how do you get into the horse race out there? What do you got to do?
Invitation only, baby. You got to be
you don't need to win. You don't need to be like a low net or anything like that.
You got to be like a single digit handicap. I mean, it's
okay.
But there's like 400 people that go to the inland thing every year, and and then Bob Mai, the president of Potlatch Sales, he always organizes the horse race. He'll find 22 single digit handicaps that are coming and invite them to participate. And I've been in it for like 15 years now.
How many holes do you play?
5.
You play 5 holes, and so 22 teams or 11 teams?
11 teams of 2. It's alternate shots. So you go 2 holes, and they eliminate the bottom 4 teams after 2 holes.
Yep.
You go 1 more hole, they eliminate 2 more teams. Then 1 more hole, they eliminate 2 more teams. Then on the 5th hole, there's 3 teams left, and it's just win, place, or show. You get, everybody gets to bet. There's like 400, 350 people walking around, following you, drinking, and hooting and hollering, and you're playing for money. It's kind of fun.
Awesome.
Yeah, so you won that one, Master. We have 2 champions of golf here on this show today.
Who was the other one?
Greg won his member tournament over the weekend.
You did? Wow. Good job, buddy. You're playing well too.
Ours was you got to win your flight, and then the 10 flight winners go out in a horse race. And it was.
Is yours a 5? Is it a 5-hole horse race or?
No, they do 3. They do 3 holes. Eliminate 4, eliminate 3, and then the last 3 play in. And
yeah, that's pretty stressful then, the way you do it.
I was fortunate is that I was in the horse race with my member guest last month, and I was in the horse race for the Champion of Champions because I was a class winner on Memorial Day. And so I told my partner, I said, "Hey, so you know about the horse?" He goes, "No, what is it?" I go, "Hey, don't worry, I got a lot of experience. I've lost a bunch of horse races lately. Don't worry." But
I didn't know you were that good of a golfer, Greg. That's awesome. I'd like to play. We'll have to go play around. I'll come out to Chicago. We'll go play.
There you go. I'm actually the worst, really avid golfer I know. For as much as I play, I should be a single index, but I can make money at my index. That's the important thing.
That's funny.
So I put the question of the day up there. How much money do some of the companies have in their bank from the countervail duty, and what is going to happen to it? I just want that to mirror. On the way in, I was talking to Greg today about how much money some of the companies have in banks that some of the money people didn't even make that in 10 years as a forest products company. It's insane, right?
Didn't Fraser come out and say that they have 700 million?
I think that's. I don't know, but that's. I don't know if they said that or not. Does that sound right?
Sounds low.
I read an article.
Sounds low.
Wow, it's crazy.
I read an article about her that they were being bought.
Yeah, which ended up something coming out and saying that was not the case at all, right? Yesterday, which it was fake news.
They denied it.
Yeah,
they denied it.
So it was probably just a pump and dump. Somebody wanted to get something going so they could sell some shares at the high.
Hey, so Matt, what was the feeling out there at the inland event with everything going on all year? What was your feedback? What did you take away from it coming back, sitting at your desk today? And if everybody doesn't know, this is the event where all the inland lumber mills, wholesalers, distributors get invited to this event, which is held at the Coeur d'Alene Country Club, and it's a good get together for people to get around and talk about the industry in that market, which produces a lot of lumber. But I mean, honestly, a lot of people count spruce and southern yellow pine, and it's a very niche market, so to speak. So I'm interested in a lot of long-time lumber people that I think are pretty highly intelligent, run these mills, run the wholesale distribution in these parts of the world and all over the U.S. with it. What was the feedback, Matt?
I mean, it's really no different than what we talk about week after week. So the mills are happy. The mills have made money. Distributors are happy. The distributors have made money. You know, everybody's kind of happy with lumber the last few years because they've been able to make some money for a change. And the distributors aren't really going to change their attitude. They've committed to carrying manageable inventories and no more. The retailers are also in the same boat. They're gonna carry their 60 to 90 days. They're real disciplined, and the mills are content to just keep buying the logs and keep like everything's sort of. I keep saying it's more of a normal market, and I keep saying it because it's true, right? I mean, the mills are happy with the inland mills. Don't have as many logging problems as we do out west. So the inland mills are pretty happy right now. I mean, they're making good money, and they have the log fiber, and their biggest issue is labor. Our biggest issue is labor. I think in America that's an issue for a lot of different industries, not just the lumber business. But lumber business is kind of an old business, I guess, or old fashioned. And you know, I'm driving down I-84 on the way back to Portland, and Mount Hood Forest Products has bought a billboard, and we're hiring, you know, up there on the freeway. So I've never seen a Forest Products sawmill put up a billboard saying we're hiring. That just goes to show you what the biggest pressure is on mills right now is labor. But I don't think things are going to change all that much. It seems as though from the comments that I got from people back there in Idaho that everybody's content with where we are, and they don't see any big change on the horizon, and they're just happy with the way things are. So it was a pleasant experience.
Oh, and congratulations, Matt. You know, what I look forward to is when we play is, you know, getting those 5 strokes aside from you. That's going to be great.
Yeah, I was going to say at this point now, I want to see Matt's flight and Greg's flight get together, and maybe we'll stream that live for 5 holes.
I did have people come up and say that they watched the podcast or they listened to it, so that's cool. It's nice to know that people are paying attention to us at some level.
Okay, you know, Ash, as I listen to Matt, and I agree with everything that Matt said, as I do most of the time, it just highlights for me how we all are such a product of what's happened to us most recently, and we all kind of project that things are going to be the same, and because that's what, you know, that's what's easy and that's what's comfortable. Just to counterpoint that a little bit, I wanted, you know, we got a lot of housing data that's been out the last few days, and I kind of wanted to run through it so we can at least have that as a backdrop and see if we can learn something from it. You know, so the first is that okay, Ash? You good with that?
I'm absolutely great with it, because why aren't things just better off in life continuing the way they are?
So Tuesday, was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday morning we got housing starts, and they were down. And you know, I always like to dig underneath the hood and not forget about the top line numbers, whatnot. So I looked at it. Permits, single family permits for the first half of the year down 4.4%. Multifamily permits up 17.1%. Starts, housing starts for the first half of the year from 2021, unchanged. Multifamily up 19.7%. You know, my question, you know, on my LinkedIn, what, you know, or my point on LinkedIn is, we're going to build less houses in the second half of the year. The real question is, how many less houses are we going to build? And I looked at that, authorized but not started, kind of the backlog that builders has, up 12% from a year ago. And here it is. Here's the big number we've been talking about. Houses under construction, a new all-time record, 1.68 million houses. That's up 22.4% from a year ago. So that's that. Completions. So completions in 2021 ran 1.341 million. Guess what we are year to date in completions?
1.31 million.
1.36.
1.35 million. Exactly. I do expect completions maybe to titch up a little bit in the second half of the year. We can already see it in circuits where big production guys are focusing more on finishing the stuff that they have than on necessarily starting new. And to that point, home builder sentiment came out, and it was the lowest in 2 years. And when I looked at that, buyer traffic fell below 50. 50 is kind of like the break even between, positive and negative. A year ago, buyer traffic was like 75.
So I guess my question is this: if you're going into an area to look at houses, is there just less houses to look at?
Well, no, because we got, existing home sales came out today, slowest pace in 2 years. And the supply has gone up. It's still only 3 months supply, but I'm going to wager right now that the existing home inventory, by the time we get into September, October, will be probably back to equilibrium, which is like 5 or 6 months.
Okay.
Because this number is a real lagging indicator, because existing homes are based on contract signings or closings, which would reflect sales in April and May. When we get the new home sales data for June, that'll reflect what happened in June, because that's based on contract signings. So it's a little bit different. But the other thing I looked at, mortgage applications, 22-year low. Now, granted, big part of that is that refinances have dropped to less than zero. Not really, but the refinancing has dropped to so low. But even the new purchase index is down. I didn't get the breakdown on whether it is a new low also, or it's just being pulled down by the refi number.
Yeah. So
my conclusion when I look at all of this stuff is, I go back to Matt, and current conditions right now, I'm going to say business is as good as it gets from a current condition standpoint.
Taking out all the outliers, it's still on the edge of being great business from over the last 15 years in our business, right?
Yes.
I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
We've certainly seen far worse sales and buying conditions than these right now, right? In the lumber business.
Yeah. So I guess one of the things I like looking at Twitter and social media about people talking their positions, because let's face it, on Twitter and social media, everybody talks their positions. And what I read on there is
position also.
Well, it's okay. It's okay. That's all right. We all.
Well, my position is long and short at the same time, so it's kind of.
I'm talking more.
You like riding the razor blade, right? Like riding the fence.
I'm talking more about housing in general, where everybody's saying like, we're not noticing anything here. Well, that's not necessarily the case. I think you're seeing that in the high beta areas like Boise, Idaho, and other places, the high prices, the ask prices are coming down, and that's a fact. And the days on the market are coming down, and that's a fact. My wife that religiously looks at everything in our neighborhood and tells me about stuff and trends and how stuff yesterday, she said, "Hey, I noticed things are really slowing down and days on the market are really increasing." Like, she's not an economic major, but this is just her observation, right? And that's a lagging observation, but it's right. Where I said things weren't affected in my little neighborhood, I'm seeing homes sitting a lot longer now.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing the real estate agent put a sign up and then going back to the car and getting the other little sign on top that says closed, right? They're actually sitting for a longer period of time. The other question is, are we in a recession right now?
Who cares? Doesn't
No, I'm
really.
just
You know,
asking.
But who
I'm just
cares?
asking.
But who cares? That's like it's like are we like that doesn't really matter whether it's technically it is or it isn't. I mean, the
Okay, let's say
reality is that the Fed's going to raise interest rates again next week. Whether it's they talk the talking heads, whether it's 3/4 or 1%, that doesn't really matter. They're going to continue to raise until things do really collapse, and they take the billboard down, right? Because they have plenty of workers, or that business is shitty.
Right.
It's we're in a level of at best right now stagflation, and at worst we're just ready. We're just waiting to fall over the abyss to something worse.
Let's make a counter argument for intellectual purposes. What would make the market go up and spike back up again? I had a guy come up to me at one of the golf courses over there and recognized me from this show. And he says, "Hey, I watch your show. I'm just curious, do you think that we can go back to 4-digit lumber this year?" And I said, "Absolutely." And he goes, "Really?" I said, "Of course." I said, "We've done it 2 years in a row. What happens if there's a railroad strike? What happens if some mills burn down or a bunch of timberland gets, set aside for fire season or something, and transportation issues aren't really solved, right?" So let's talk about this real quickly. And I don't believe this is going to happen in my heart of hearts. I don't think we're going back to $1,100 lumber personally. That's not my opinion. But if, as an exercise in intellectual thought, yeah, you can paint a picture. So you guys have any thoughts on that? I mean, let's try to imagine ways where we could be talking $8,000-9,000 lumber in September instead of $400-500.
Let's talk this.
Those would all be things that I put under unknown unknowns.
Hands
right?
of God.
So I mean, those
you
are
don't
all,
see anything structurally
like,
in our business that would allow us to go higher. You think that the signs are pointing
and
to
it would all have to be based on supply, because demand is only going to get slower.
Okay,
that's right. So like a known is, I know that demand is going to slow because there's no way that it can't, and the Fed will keep doing what it needs to do that. So that's a known. So the unknown is what happens on supply. Hey, they stopped shipping lumber from Europe, right? Matt, British Columbia burns down. Yeah. Right. Railroad strike. I mean,
the coalition settles everything and decides that we've just brought in our $7 billion and we're going to close a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. Unknown unknowns.
I mean,
yeah.
I mean, look at.
I wonder if
you can't. To Matt's point, I mean, those are kind of black swanish type stuff, and I think it's part of the reason why our business is so good right now is everybody's kind of in a, I'm close to the vest, I'm holding my cards close, and so that keeps it very fluid day to day right now.
Did I ever tell you about the time that I saw an actual black swan? I was at my father-in-law's house, and it was down by his dock, and I'm like, tried to explain all about black swan theory, and he just sat there and looked at me and didn't say anything. And I ran down there to look at it. It was a decoy. and he knew it was, and he let me run down there and do that.
Oh, that's funny.
So Matt,
young whippersnapper.
What I'm really interested in is somebody approached you on the course that you didn't know and said they watched this show.
Yeah, exactly. I was like,
wow,
I've got at least one viewer.
So what did they say about me though?
They said they really liked our show and that they gained something from it. So, I've heard a few people say
awesome.
that.
That's awesome.
It's not the first time somebody said that to me, and it always makes you feel good to know that people can glean some little bit of information from us, and that might help them. I mean, hey, we're all in the same business, and and I'm fascinated to talk to other people from the other regions because they know things that I'll never know, and they know people I'll never know, and it's good to have a broad perspective.
Absolutely.
Hey,
I still like the one where the guy that told Ashley, he goes, you guys give too much information.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
that's why. Maybe we should take a little bit of a pat on the back because last summer we were all in the middle of shedding inventory and taking massive losses, and the whole industry was kind of trying to deal with a $1,100, $1,200 sell-off. And we were talking about it. We were talking about it in April and May and June and July. And then we come around to this year and nobody really got caught this year. Maybe we helped the industry learn from last year. I that's why I say we should pat ourselves on the back.
Matt, here's my theory to it. Here's my theory to it. And it's in life in general. I always think people are so removed from agriculture, they don't even know how their food is produced. That's why when I hear a really statement that it doesn't sound intelligent, I'm like, well, they can't help it, right?
Yeah.
As our lumber industry,
were you listening to like a press conference at the White House or something?
No, but I mean, so this goes back to let's juxtapose this with our industry. There's been so much consolidation from when I got in the industry, and I would talk to the guy on the phone that owned the company, and Matt would talk to the 7 people that owned their companies and fly down and golf with the guy that owned the company, and went to the bank and asked the banker for $10 million so he could keep an inventory, and the banker would write him a check and then buy from Matt based on his recommendation. You don't see that anymore. You have groupthink now because you have large companies, and God bless them, they do a good job consolidating, and they're like, we don't want you to think. We just want you to act. Yet those people they hire have thought at one time, but they also want to make smart decisions. So they listen to people like you and Greg because they still want an opinion that doesn't come out of a boardroom that's been diluted through 7 chains of legal and compliance. They want to know people, boots on the ground, what they're doing. Like you guys are the actual farmers out there, feeding the livestock and baling the hay. Right. And that's not happening in this industry as much anymore. There's people working from 20-story towers telling a guy, looking at all the widgets that are trucks on the country. Right. And based on that, when the boots on the ground are the ones that are the first canary in the coal mine and the sign, I think that's what we really do as a group here and as a show. Tell them we're not always right. We're not always wrong, but we certainly, I think, have and we have great people on like Russ Taylor, one of the smartest guys in the industry, is sitting here listening, commenting on him. And I mean, that's when you have a good brain trust together of people that want to, help serve others before they serve themselves.
Well, along those lines, Ashley, let's go back to this discussion, this theoretical discussion of potential higher prices and significantly higher prices coming in front of us. So, Greg, I work for Hampton. We sell every layer of the lumber market, from the low grade remanner all the way up to Home Depot, Lowe's, the home center people, and everything in between. And so you're really good at the forward selling thing and dealing with people that are involved in the apartment side of the business. And you just read some stats. That's up 18, 19%, right? And we've all agreed on this show repeatedly that segment of the market is actually what's going to be carrying the football here for a while, right? Because the single family, as you've said, is going down. But then we didn't talk about the Home Depot, Lowe's, Menards type business, the retail walk-in trade. That's also going back up because prices went down. So in the retail business, the consumer has more money he can buy more studs with his $25, right? He can't buy just one stud. Now he can buy 4 studs, right? Or 3 studs, or 2 pieces of plywood instead of 1 piece of plywood. So people are now going back into the stores. And my question is, will those 2 segments of the market make up for the loss of liquidity on the single family side, in your opinion?
Hey, Matt, I got it. So I saw something yesterday, and I'm not sure if it was a John Burns or what it is, and what the stats, and again, I think we're showing was sales at these big boxes is actually slowing because of where we're at right now, not picking up. And I could be wrong on that, but I wanted
was that sales of lumber or just sales in general?
in general.
Right.
In
But
general,
to Matt's point is he's not I mean, what he just said is absolutely true. And I've been getting the same
absolutely.
information from my producers in the East that the big box business is, well, I asked them a question today. I said, well, is it up a lot or is it just good? And he goes, well, it's good and it's better than we thought it was going to be. And that's really what the key is. And to Matt's point, is absolutely right. Their prices adjust quicker because they have zero inventory costed. I mean, the only inventory that's costed is in the store, a couple of truckloads. Right. That's gone. They go right to the market price.
And let's not forget, some of these big boxes are making a strong move to get more pro business, and they've acquired more pro business during the last 2 years, and they're building facilities to actually go after bigger business and grow like that. So they're not just going after the same pot of consumer that they're going after. They're going after more consumers.
So they may be taking market share from the pro builder side, and it's less reflected of the DIY business, which and more reflective of them.
I hear, and I don't have a stat on this because it's not. I hear they are taking pro business right now. I know of big home builders that I believe have gotten some loads from them already.
Interesting.
Yeah. Then that market, you look at, so instead of pulling a job site with a person pushing a cart of flowers by it, they now have these big facilities where they want to go in and build loads, and that's all they do. It's not for the walk-in trade; it's for the professional person building 25,000 square foot homes.
It's hey, listen. The one thing we know is that everything's constantly evolving and changing, and while we're all products of what happened to us most recently, the reality is that that whatever trend exists until it stops, and then there's another trend. And so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Matt, I would say that in the odds of going back to 4-digit lumber right now, I take it back. I sold 4-digit 2x6 9s yesterday, so it's already there.
There you go. It already happened. It already happened, Matt.
It already happened.
I'm just saying. I just think that there's, we tend to get too, as a group, as an industry, we tend to get too much on one side of the market. When things are really good, you get people that just think it's never going to come down and it's sky and high, and they're out there just talking it up. That's great. That's fine. I like enthusiasm. I mean, I get paid based on enthusiasm myself, but there's also rationality and reason. And so I think we're trying to be reasonable and rational in this our discussions. I always like to look at what are the potential negatives, what are the potential positives. And there's a lot of moving stuff right now. That's why I'm not really making any big bets one way or the other. I just think that it's July. We're in the middle of summer, shutdowns, what little there are with the Eastern mills, but we've also got a lot of people out on vacation. And people's attitudes during the summer are just different than what they'll be in the fall or winter, So it's nice. Look at the behind me. This is why I live in Oregon in the summertime. I got 3 months of that, and then I got 9 months of dreary gray skies. But I'll be happy to go play golf and go fishing in that kind of weather behind me.
So I'm going to head out after this. I'm going to go over. We're hosting the Illinois Amateur Championship, and I'm going to see how those guys played compared to how I played over the weekend.
Are you going to tell them
they
about?
Are you going to tell them? Than I do.
Are you going to tell them about that? You're the club champion when you're there.
Probably not, Ash. Probably
do you have a red Mazda Miata that you pull up in now, like the club champ from that video? What is that guy's name? What do you ever see that guy?
What?
He's on YouTube. He's called like a Club Champ or the golf guy. It's a parody.
Oh, Club Pro guy?
You sent me it. Yes.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. He is hilarious. Absolutely.
Well, I like the fact that we work here to be less solipsistic in the industry. And
was that your word of the day? That was your word of the day.
Greg
I love
understood
it.
that one because he went to Northwestern. But
Hang
I'm
on
an
a
Oregon
second.
State
Hang on a
grad. I
second.
don't even know
Let me Google that.
We want to be less. We want to be less solipsistic.
Hey, listen. Great day, guys.
All right,
Thanks
guys.
very much, everybody. Have a good one.
Bye.
Go. Bye.
Take it easy.